underway under damp and deteriorating conditions at Barber Motorsport Park as the 45 minutes begin to count down. Looks like Fletcher and Gonzalez have got away with Nate Cicero getting a little tap from behind there. Tyler Gonzalez actually doing the tapping in the red and white cars. They go down to the turn 5 hairpin for the first time and now climbing up. The great thing about this circuit here, it's plenty wide enough to get 3, 4 and 5 cars wide.
In the drivers' meeting, Randy Buck actually joked about the fact that we probably could go 3 cars wide at turn 1. Thankfully, we didn't see that, but we did see something the race control will be looking into, a blown start as further back around goes one of the Rafa Racing cars. I don't think it's Carolyn Candace's car, just from initial inspection, but Randy mentioned you need to stay in your column until you cross the start-finish line, and we did have a car move out. That was Bailey Cruz, so race control will be taking a look at the number 11 from JTR Motorsports Engineering, and if he did indeed pull out of line too soon.
Yeah, which Rafa car was that then? Was it? It was Carolyn.
I think it was Maite.
I think it was Carolyn. Yeah, I think it was Carolyn because she's dropped to the back of the timing and scoring. It did, to be fair, it did look like the 81 had gone round. The question is, did she get a little helping bumper? Lap record's not going to be under pressure. Goes all the way back to 2019 and Brian Ortiz with a 139.9, but not in these conditions. And heading down again to the first corner where we saw a number of people taking alternative lines, shall we say. So Tyler Gonzalez was leading across the line, and as they go up over the brow, it's bizarre, Shea, because we've almost got blue sky. In fact, no, we have got blue sky in the distance, but it does seem to be raining on parts of the circuit.
It's definitely raining, and the sky that is blue is quite far away. I hope it gets here, but we are racing, and that is the good news, that the weather has held off. At least it's not bad enough to where we can't be racing, because the track was advising people to seek shelter not that long ago. So the fact that we have cars on track just means that someone up there must be a Mazda fan, right, John?
Indeed so. And now this, what it does do, it means that the drivers will not have to look after their Michelin wet weather tyres as much as they might have thought. I'm sure when they were in the false grid area, the assembly area, they were going to, what? I'm sorry, what? It's beautiful. The sun's out. Look, I can see shadows. But no. Apologies if you are watching and listening and can't hear the cars at the moment. Our IndyCar TV colleagues are doing some mic checks at the moment, and we don't want you to hear what they're talking about and embarrass them. So we'll just wait till they're finished before we can feed you some sound from the circuit. Through again onto the start-finish straight, and as ever, it's all change at the front of the field as they go through again. No big breakaway at the moment, Shea, and if anything, I think the showers are lessening. I see fewer people with the wipers on.
Yeah, Jeremy Fletcher continues to lead. He's led all the laps so far in this race. He's gotten bonus points so far this season in every race except for one, and he's very, very assured that the bonus points make a big difference, because last season he finished third in the championship. He had a shot at that $250,000 prize going into the final race, but then contact ultimately removed him from the competitiveness. Fletcher has one goal this year. He only wants one thing. Well, to win a lot of races, yes, but ultimately to come away with the championship. So Fletcher being out front, that's exactly where he wants to be, especially if there were, say, to be a lightning strike and we had to go to a red flag. Well, Jeremy Fletcher would love nothing more than for the clock to run out and for him to get that big trophy.
Still leads the race over the curbs on the far side of the circuit. The rise and fall of this track, it's almost as if this circuit was laid out for Mazda MX-5. The last time that I did an IndyCar commentary here, it was for Mazda Prototype Challenge, and I can tell you that was very, very exciting indeed. And this is the first time that Mazdas have been back here since they've been back on the on the IMSA schedule, should I say, although of course sharing with IndyCar this weekend. at IMSA Radio if you want to get in touch with us. Hello to Alan Prosser, who's tuned in as ever. This is appointment racing. People stop what they're doing to watch this across the line. Fletcher then from the bluey purple car in second, which is Western Workman. Then Tyler Gonzalez. There's almost 5 at the front because Bobby Gossett, who was leading in the rookie category, and Justin Adeconis, also a rookie. They're about the top 5 as the leader goes very, very wide there. But was he trying to pick up an extra bit of grip around the outside? It's sometimes not the best thing to do, Shea, to drive on the traditional racing line. Here, massive banzai run down the outside by Tyler Gonzalez. I'm not sure whether that was meant or whether he just missed his braking point down into turn 5.
Apologies for the girlish giggle there, but that was a very Tyler Gonzalez move to make that and hang on to it as he passes his teammate Weston Workman. I'm wondering if maybe Jeremy Fletcher got some advice from team owner Chad McCumbee, who came from a dirtback racing background on ovals, and all of a sudden at Watkins Glen one year, John, we were watching when he found the cushion. I wonder if Jeremy Fletcher was trying to find the cushion around the outside of turn 2.
You could be absolutely right. So, 6.5 minutes just over gone. Shea and I try to pace ourselves as much as the drivers do here, because whilst there's always action going on, we could easily peak too early here, because there's always going to be something going on somewhere. It's been pretty clean so far. I've crossed my fingers, knocked on wood, standing on one leg as I say that, with battles all the way down the field. Exactly as you would expect. And Nate Cicero, by the way, with the fastest lap of the race for Saito Motorsport Group. That's important because that translates into points, and points at the end of the season, say it with Shea, translate into
real cash money, baby.
Yeah, there you go. The Discord group will be happy. You've said it at least once every race. It must be getting better out there because I'm seeing a lot of light colours on my Alcamel timing screen. And you can follow along with us with the IMSA timing results. Of course, our colleagues at Alcamel once again providing us in the Global Broadcast Centre with all of the information. You can follow on as well wherever you are in the world. Tyler Gonzalez then, after that rather different time mover, moved down into the bottom of the hairpin last time around. He's leading out in the red and white BSI racing car from Jeremy Fletcher, sitting in the blue, white and black car. Then the purple front and top with the white side panels is Western Workman BSI Racing. McCumbee McAleer Racing, MMR as you'll hear us call them. Bobby Gossett is in 4th position. They're playing nice at the moment, and I just wonder if those top 5 or 6 here have decided now that they really need to stop fighting and consolidate the gap that they've got back to. I think that's Glenn McGee in about 8th in the yellow car, in the yellowy gold car, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right on that, John. An off-track excursion.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
There's a couple of drivers further back that we need to keep our eyes out for, one of which we mentioned, Noah Harmon, starting at the back of the pack. He actually caused the red flag during the qualifying session. The team sent him out knowing that the car didn't have enough fuel to do many laps, so they tried to get him out there to do one flying lap and then back into the pit lane. It didn't quite work, so Noah actually ran out of fuel during qualifying, but the good news is he's out there now, and there's an opportunity to better his starting position, i.e. of dead last, for tomorrow's race by setting a faster lap time than that in this race. He's already done that, so he will be moving further up the grid when we do get to that point in time for tomorrow's race. As Damon Oakey goes for a spin, that looks like the exit of turn 2. Full course caution has just come out as well. Just before I hand it back to you, John, the other driver we need to keep an eye on, Jared Thomas, qualified 11th. That is not a Jared Thomas qualifying kind of position, and he's actually running in 12th. So I'm wondering if maybe something is up with that number 96 JTR machine, because Jared is not a driver ever outside of the top 10.
Yeah, and he's lapping a full second away from the leaders, albeit faster than the cars around him in terms of his best time. Now, we do have yellow flags out around the circuit. I'm waiting to see if the MX-5 Whelen safety car pulls out of the pit lane.
Yes.
Wipers are back on again, and there is if I would say there's a little more spray than there was coming from the Michelin wet weather tyres, but again, bizarrely, there's blue sky over various parts of the circuit. This, I'm pretty certain, isn't for weather, and Bobby Gossett was indeed running slowly, but has resumed, but having been leading in the rookie category, he's dropped way down. And so that means Justin Adeconis, who was in 6th, now moves up to 5th and is the best of the rookies, just one place ahead of Whelen Mazda for BSI Racing in 6th position. Glenn McGee in 7th. Skip Brugge is another rookie in 8th. Ethan Goulart, another rookie in 9th. And it's Skylar Cottrell, another rookie in 10th. That's a good run forward from Skylar as well. She was 12th? Yes, 12th position starts, a couple of places.
And a very impressive young man. I mean, in the 2 practice sessions we had yesterday, he was P5 and P2, and the P5 was on used Michelin tires. So that was a really impressive first showing from Skylar. A very nice young man. Only going to run this weekend because he and his dad have looked at the bigger picture and they realize Mazda pays you to be in the championship. You can win the Mazda scholarship, but you can't do it if you've run multiple race weekends. 3 is the limit. So they've looked at the budget and they thought, which is the best track for us? Well, they live over in Georgia, so Barber is just a quick jaunt down the street.
Yeah.
Let's go there. Let's show what we can do. Maybe get a feel for what we need to work on to work towards that Mazda scholarship and winning that come November, which Noah Harmon did do this year coming into the 2025 season. The reason that we went yellow was for Bobby Gossett in that number 44 machine from MMR. He went off in turn 8, but we will be going green this time around. So very good work by our local track safety workers.
Yeah, he's all the way at the back, and in fact he's so far back that he hasn't crossed the line yet, and actually got on to lap number 7, which is what the leaders are working at the moment. I can't imagine then, if he's running, there's any reason for the safety car to stay out. So let's see if that pops in this time around. We're still getting some of the cars to pack up. Tyler Gonzalez effectively acting as the safety car at the moment. No, he's caught up the safety car, that's good. The thing about the Whelen safety car is it is a Mazda MX-5, and the only way you know that it isn't a race car is it's because it's got a roof on, and otherwise it looks exactly like the race cars that are sitting in behind it. Had the opportunity to drive one of the updated cars. Another anniversary this year, 35 years in the for the Mazda MX-5, and this ND 4th generation car has weathered very, very well. Still drives as good as it ever did right back in the NA days, and through a couple of different body shapes. Got a little bit heavier with NB and NC, but then they dropped some weight out of it for this version of the car. These race cars built from road cars by Fliss Performance, and we're back to green flag racing, and the sun's out again. How bizarre is that? We've got spray from the Michelin wet weather tyres and sunshine on the front straight as Tyler Gonzalez has led them back to green from Jeremy Fletcher in 2nd, Weston Workman in 3rd, Nate Cicero in 4th position as they head through turns 2 and 3 and start to climb to the top of the hill. Point the car at the sky. Is that better weather or worse that they can see in the distance? I'm not sure. Take your picture.
It's definitely coming, and looking at the radar, it is around us, but thankfully it's not over us right now. And you know, the cars, they almost look better with their headlights on and with the windshield wipers going in the bright sunshine. It will be a beautiful sight for all of the pictures that we're going to get from Al Arena as off has gone. It's the number 68. That is Steve Weber out of St. Petersburg, Florida, running with JTR Motorsports Engineering again this weekend. Now, can he get the car pointed in the right direction? Can he get back on the pavement? Yes. Car is pointing in the right direction. Excellent. We should be able to stay green, which is good news for everyone behind Tyler Gonzalez, because right now Tyler is going for the most laps led bonus points. That's 10 points, and he has 4 laps, whereas Jeremy Fletcher led 3.
Still half an hour to go here, and what are we? the lap times aren't coming down. We've done a 47.5, at least Nate Cicero has, around this 2.38 miles. That's just under 4 kilometres, 3.83 kilometres. For those of you tuned in that use the metric system, Jeremy Fletcher is pulling out yards, metres, rod, pull, chin or perch. 22 yards at least between him and Tyler Gonzalez rather on Jeremy Fletcher, with Western Workman still scored in third position as they stream through the start-finish line. On the rookie front, it's still Justin Adeconis in fifth position, who heads up that category, and there's a cash prize at the end of the season for that particular category as well, Shea.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year walks away with an $80,000 check. And we have had an instance before, a few years ago, a young man named Connor Zilich nearly won the championship overall. He wound up finishing second by 10 points, a scant 10 points. And he walked away with second place money because $85,000 check was just slightly larger than the $80,000 Rookie of the Year prize. But we do have this very tense battle for best rookie. And as a matter of fact, 4 races in, 4 different rookies have been the best finishing rookie in each race. We also have an award for the best finishing woman in each race. 3 different women have claimed that across the 4 races. So it's been a very highly contested season already. Very exciting to keep your eyes on the Mazda MX-5 Cup series this year. And the biggest one that is a little bit of a bitter taste in someone's mouth. Well, leading the most laps coming into this race was one Mr. Weston Workman, but Weston sat 31st in points coming into this race because he just hasn't had the run of the luck at the end of the race. It's been either Tyler Gonzalez or Jared Thomas who has won every single race this season, and Tyler Gonzalez still continuing to lead the way. He's only one of 2 drivers who's ever raced here in a Mazda before, because he was in that race in 2019.
You were spot on at the start. The start has been looked at. Drive-throughs for the Rafa Racing team by MR, by the Caceres from Punta del Este in Uruguay. Also for the number 11 driver, Bailey Cruz, the New Zealander from Pukekohe, the JTR driver, and the third of the 3 miscreants at the start of the race, I'm afraid, was Steve Webber, the man from St. Petersburg, Florida, another JTR driver in the number 68 car. They'll all have drive-through penalties. So if you see them peel into the pit lane, that is not because they are doing any remedial work to their Mazda MX-5s. It is because they were pinged for effectively a false start, out of line at the start of the race. Western Workman moves his way up into second position in the purple-fronted car, with Jeremy Fletcher down to third and Nate Cicero right in behind. Adeconis, Helio Meza, then side by side there, Skip Brock, Ethan Girart, Glenn McGee's in that as well in the top 10. Ren Messinger up into the top 10 as well for Macumbi Macalia Racing, just got ahead of Scarlett Cottrell.
And Ren will be grinning from ear to ear, because when I talked to him on Thursday and I mentioned the fact that there might be rain in the forecast, he said, bring it on. He loves go-karting in the rain. Never driven a race car in the rain, but he was up to the challenge, as Jeremy Fletcher is up to the challenge going 4 wheels off the track onto the grass, and that allows his ex-teammate Nate Cicero to slip right through.
Yeah, a little bit of grass tracking came across the top of the hill. All 4 Michelin tyres onto the green stuff, but he didn't panic, just ushered the car, I suppose you might say, coaxed the car back onto the circuit, and he holds on to 4th position. Here's Bailey Cruz into the pit lane for his drive-through penalty. That will drop him out of a top dozen or so position, and with the car still pretty close coming off that safety car period, that is going to be a costly mistake at the front of the race. Caceres is also into the pit lane, see above comment, and we just have to wait for the 3rd driver to come in as well. But this is all going on a long way behind Tyler Gonzalez, who has made his bid for freedom. He's pulled the pin and he's got a couple of seconds now on the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. The purple car is Western Workman. The blue, black and white fronted car is Jeremy Fletcher, and then Nate Cicero Then a little gap back to Justin Adeconis. Behind that, it's Elio Meza in the gold car with the iRacing. Is Glenn McGee, then Skip Brock, then Ren Messinger and Ethan Gillard for the top 10. I tell you what, we don't normally see this kind of gap share. 2 seconds is normally about where we are halfway through the season if we add the gap from first to second up at the line for half the season's races.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're currently at a second and a half after 4 races, so that's going to definitely upset Aaron Segal with our stats for the best finish. It's a bit like what we saw out of Aaron Johnson in Laguna Seca last year, actually, to upset the running order. I think that was race 6, though, on the year, not race 5. But still, for Tyler Gonzalez, he is checked out. He just did the overall fastest Sector 3, and his lap time was 9/10 clear of what the guys behind him were doing. Now, Weston Workman and Jeremy Fletcher set the identical lap time the last time around. So they clearly are trying to figure things out, but no one has an answer for BSI's Tyler Gonzalez.
Seeing a lot of people improving. I think the drizzle has slowed and the Michelin tyres are doing their bit, and doing their bit is moving a bathful of water from each tyre tread about every second or a second and a half. So it will not stay wet for very long, and it wasn't actually lying too much on the top. Still seeing a little bit of spray from the leader. In fact, I think Gonzalez is looking for the wetter patches now to keep the surface temperature of his tyres down. Meantime, behind, Weston Workman and Jeremy Fletcher going at it in their battles for the lead. I can't believe how Tyler Gonzalez has checked out, and this is absolutely no disrespect at all to Tyler Gonzalez. It's just we don't see. How long have we been commentating on this year? We don't see somebody drive away. It's 3.7 seconds back to Cicero now, who's got ahead of Fletcher for third, and then Adeconis. Weston Workman down to 5th now in that dark blue purple fronted car. Then Elio Metzer, then the bit of the gap back to, and that's a new 7th place. Skip Brooks. Glenn McGee is the gold car with the iRacing logo on the hood. Ren Messinger and Goulard, new fastest lap of the race. It was coming from Tyler Gonzalez, and he at the moment has the extra point share.
Tyler is checking out. He is trying to make sure that he has set a time that is good enough for pole position for tomorrow's race, which right now he has done. And more importantly, he is building a gap that should hold, because the rain, I'm going to be the brave one to say that, and I am going to knock on wood, it is not going to affect us until perhaps the last lap. Just looking at the gap in the radar, we should be okay to get to the checkered flag. So Tyler Gonzalez is saying, you know what, I'm not going to need these tires to move rain again. I'm just going to use them up. They're a very soft compound from Michelin. They turn into very good drying compound tires very quickly.
To the mistake by Jeremy Fletcher, and that's dropped him a couple of spots. He's now down to 4th as Weston Workman goes. In fact, Fletcher's down to 5th. Workman goes back up to 4th, and it was at the long parabolic right-hander again, exactly where we saw him struggling before, but this time not quite as far off the circuit. Shea, what Shea's talking about, by the way, is we only had one qualifying session. That's exactly standard operating procedure for Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup. One qualifying session. Your fastest lap setting the grid position for race 1. Your second fastest lap in that session setting your grid position for race 2. Unless you go faster in race 1. And then your race time effectively becomes your qualifying time. Because it was so wet in qualifying, we are now lapping quicker. In fact, 46.2. That is 1.2 seconds faster than Jeremy Fletcher set in pole in the very early part of that qualifying before it got to its wettest. So we're going to see a grid share that is going to be set by, principally I would say, by the race times in this race. And if somebody's a bit sensible here, they might be able to get a good tour and actually even go quicker than Tyler Gonzalez.
The problem is that being in this championship, you don't want to sacrifice any potential championship points.
Good
so
point.
if you need to drop back a bit to try and get in a group, well, then the group might swallow you up and you might lose 50, 60, 70 championship points by losing some valuable positions. So do you worry about qualifying tomorrow? Do you worry about just throwing it in there and trying to make up the positions in the race? That's the big gamble, because tomorrow's race, it's supposed to be dry, dry, dry.
Adeconis was looking for damp patches for his Michelin tyres as well. It's now almost 4 seconds at the front of the field. The best lap is a 1:46.2, 1:46.3. That was by Gonzalez. 1:46.3 from Nate Cicero. We've got plenty of low and mid 47s. So that all of those people are improving their positions and their lap times from yesterday. There is a definite dry line, but that groove, Shea, is about an MX-5 and a quarter's width. Going side by side here is going to put you onto something. It might not be full wet, but it still looks pretty greasy out there.
Not advisable, I think, is what the racing coaches would say. If you want to,
Nate Cicero's just bettered. Sorry, Shea, has just bettered the lap. There was a 46.1 from Gonzalez, but Cicero on his own in second, down into the 45s. 45.6 for Nate Cicero, and he's pulled what, 4/10 out of the leader. Can he start pulling? We've still got 18 and a half minutes to go.
Well, and if anyone can do it, Nate definitely would be a vote for contender in this one. He's got a bit of unfinished business in races where you start on wet weather tires, because that's what happened to him at Daytona. He was leading, he was gone, and he pulled into the pit lane to change onto slicks. It ultimately did not pay off for him, and everyone in the paddock has been joking, and poor guy, it's been quite relentless, into, hey, when it's raining, don't pit. So I think Nate is looking to try and set that right, and the best way to do that is with the race win. Hadley Mazda was just going very, very slowly at the exit of Charlotte's Web, by the way, John. I saw that on timing, wondering if maybe he had an issue at that turn. He was running up with that initial pack as well. 6th place and second in the rookies. If he has dropped away, let's see if we can pick him up visually as the leading group goes through. There is a little bit of a gap. Workman, Jeremy Fletcher, Justin Adeconis, and Elio should be coming through next, but he's dropped a whole heap of ground. He's got the four-way flashes on, so there has been some kind of incident as Tyler Gonzalez nicks back the points for the best lap of the race with a 45.2, 45.3 for Cicero is his best lap, 46.1 for Weston Workman in third, 46 flat for Jeremy Fletcher in fourth, 46.1. The ideal time, if you put all of the best sectors together, is a 44.8. So it's getting quicker, it's drying out, but can anybody use the improving conditions here, Adam, to close that gap, which is back up to 3.8 seconds now, Tyler Gonzalez versus the rest of the field? Remembering that our lap record for the race was the 39.920 set back in 2019 by Brian Ortiz. Now, it's a very rare thing that we return to a track and we don't blitz the lap record, particularly when it's a new spec of car. I mean, this car is different from what they raced back then. This one has the sequential gearbox.
Correct.
This is the newer version. So we should be beating that lap time tomorrow. When it's fully dry, I expect we will, but we're getting closer and closer to that goal. We're only about 6 seconds off now. How close can we get? And we know that it's going to be Gonzalez versus Cicero, probably versus Workman and Fletcher to throw into that too, to try and get that pole position. But what's impressed me is when Gonzalez got to the front, there was a lap and a half where he was sitting at the front and he pulled out a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 cars lengths, and then he put 2 really stonking laps in, and that opened up that 2.5, 3 second lead. And from then, really, he's just been bossing it. And as it's getting drier, he's at the front of the field. I suppose you could say he's getting to the drier track first, in the same way it would be the disadvantage. He would get to the wetter track first. There's another fastest lap, 44.886.
And that's pretty close to the perfect lap because it's a 44.701, the theoretical fastest lap at the moment. So Tyler Gonzalez now is reveling in this. And I'm not sure, with 15 minutes pretty much on the nose to go, how much harder he needs to push here, because we've got Cicero, Weston Workman and Jeremy Fletcher all together. And at the moment, it's only Nate Cicero really within striking distance of the leader.
Well, the answer for Tyler Gonzalez is push as hard as you can, because even after going purple that last lap, setting the overall fastest lap time, he improved his Sector 1 time to the overall fastest Sector 1. And as the track dries out, as the tires wear the tread blocks down and they become more like slick Michelins, we are seeing improvement. That's natural. But what we're seeing from Tyler Gonzalez, that is something super special.
Yeah, this is something. I know we're sounding a bit like a broken record here, dear viewer and listener, but if you have watched with us the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup down through the years, you will know that barring an incident or an accident that splits the field up, these gaps that we're seeing at the front of the field, 3.5 seconds between first and second, 4.3 seconds between second and third, and then the usual little gaggle of cars that are all 2, 3, 4 tenths. Then 9 seconds back to Elio Meza, who we know's been off the circuit. We just do not see these kinds of gaps. And it makes me wonder if Gonzalez and Nate Cicero, as Cicero now takes back the fastest lap with a 44.8, it just makes me wonder if Tyler Gonzalez and Nate Cicero had a word with their respective teams, PSI and Sato Motorsport Group, and said, look, by all means, put the wet weather tyres on, but leave me on dry settings. And I wonder how many other people said, oh, shall we go for a half and half setting, just in case it does get wet? Because right now, Gonzalez is absolutely driving away. And Cicero to a certain point. Let's take that 3.5 seconds. But those two are driving away from the rest of the field, Shea.
I did actually talk to both of those teams earlier, and McCumbee McLaren and AAG and JTR, and checked in and said, how much are you guys planning to change your cars to accommodate for a wet weather setup? And the best line that was given to me was, if you've got a good car in the dry, don't touch it, because what if it doesn't rain or it stops raining, and then you're going to have a terrible car in the dry and an okay car in the wet. So what you need to do is just leave your car. Maybe you soften it up a click if you want to do a click, but that's it. And that's exactly what we're seeing out on the track. People didn't give in to the phobia of going for a full wet weather setup, because the fear was, if we're going to be racing in the rain, it's going to be a very short race given the weather around these parts of the world this time of year. I think what we're seeing, John, is just phenomenal driving from Gonzalez and Cicero in particular.
Yeah. Coming down to the last dozen or so minutes. So if we accept then that Tyler Gonzalez, barring some kind of intervention from above, possibly, quite literally, as Cicero improves the fastest lap of the race to a 44.5. Apparently there's a 44.1 out there if you string the best sectors together. Cicero at the moment is similarly handily placed in second. Weston Workman is gently eased out to a 9/10 of a second lead in third place. Then Jeremy Fletcher with 3/4 of a second back to our rookie leader in fifth, Justin Adeconis, who's then 8 seconds ahead of second place in the rookies, the recovered Elio Meza, possibly still with his four-way flashes on. But he's only got half a second ahead of Skip Brock for AAG Racing. So that's the battle at the moment for the third step of the rookie podium between those two. Then it's Ethan Goulart and Glenn McGee and Ren Messinger, another rookie, in the top 10. Sally Mott is the best of the female drivers at the moment, and she sits in 14th position for JTR.
And while we have 10.5 minutes to go, I'd like to say hello to our favorite, newest Mazda fan. Hello to Skylar Jade Piscatel, who was born not even 3 days ago. Her dad is a name that we've called for many years in the family. Enjoying this race from Barber Motorsports Park and cheering on all of their favorite drivers. I don't have to say who they are because they know who they are. That's what counts.
Shea Adam and John Hindhoff in the Global Broadcast Centre, IMSA Radio and IMSA TV together as we head in single digits in terms of minutes remaining. And Nate Cicero, I tell you, Shea, Nate Cicero's not given up first position. It's under 3 seconds for the first time in about half a dozen laps, and he's done a 44.4. That's half a second, give or take, that he's taken out to Tyler Gonzalez. Now, is Gonzalez pacing himself, or has he overheated those wet tyres? Remember, everybody started on wet tyres. It was drizzling and then raining in the first couple of laps, then it stopped, and now it's drying out. Western Workman holding on to third position ahead of Fletcher, Adiconis, Meza, Brock, Goulart, Glenn McGee in 9th, Ren Messinger in 10th. Jared Thomas still only in 11th position, Shea Adam.
Well, the leaders are finally within the same camera shot. There was a bit of lap traffic the last lap around for Tyler Gonzalez that Nate Cicero hit this lap in the form of Steve Webber. I'm shocked about Jared Thomas, though, John. His lack of forward progress and the fact that there are 5 rookies between he and the leader, that is not a very Jared Thomas weekend. We have got Jeremy Fletcher now under pressure as well from Justin Adiconis. Numbers 22 and 23, they are Macumbi Macalia Racing teammates, and meantime side by side here, and that is Jared Thomas and Cody Powell, JTR teammates that were side by side as they went through. And as Shea said, we are far more used to see Jared Thomas at the sharp end of the action. Did they go the wrong way on the setup? We can't know that. It could be just that spring rate or a damper change. These cars have got very sophisticated dampers, the DSSV from Multimatic. Nate Cicero down to 2.5 seconds, Shea. The battle is on at the front of the field with 8 minutes to go. 2.5 seconds to go. The fastest lap now a 44.3 against a theoretical perfect lap of a 44 flat. But Nate Cicero at the moment is gaining on Tyler Gonzalez, and he's pulling away from Western Workman. So this is all down to Nate Cicero. Cicero's times aren't bad. It's just he's losing 3/10, 4/10, 5/10 a lap. And if it keeps going at that rate, we might have a grandstand finish here. Cicero is pushing. This is a guy who is driving seemingly as if his season depends on this race finish. Nate Cicero is giving it everything he has, and it's reflected in the lap time and the progression of lap time that we have been seeing. Very impressed. Not sure who wants this race win more, though, Nate Cicero or his team owner, Jay Sato. Cicero is really turning the screws. The sector times tell the tale of the tape. The car's moving around as we're used to seeing them doing on slick tyres. It is dry now, and that single groove that I was talking about is out to probably 2, possibly 2.5 Mazda MX-5's widths now. And Nate Cicero in the white car with the tricolour colours on it has the leader in sight. It's target acquired. He's trail braking to try and keep his minimum corner speed up. What about Gonzalez's car? How does it look as he crosses the line? Remember, this is a time certain race. 6.5 to go. That's probably, what, another 4, maybe 5 laps, and Cicero's brought it down again. That's another 4/10, 3/10 of a second that time for Cicero. But this is enough to get him within striking distance, and Tyler Gonzalez cannot afford any single error here, Shea Adam. No, he can't stumble, he can't trip, he can't even breathe wrong at this point, because if he does, Nate Cicero is going to pounce. Now, the thing that is concerning me, the cameras are getting darker, and that's not just because there's something wrong with the technology. The sky is bringing that impending doom. So if you're going to make a move, you need to make it soon. All right, there's less than 6 minutes to go in the race, but it has to be now. I reckon it's under 2 seconds now. It has to be. There was traffic that certainly slowed Tyler Gonzalez, our leader, down a couple of laps ago, but it's clear sailing for the leader in the red Mazda MX-5 of BSI Racing as they're coming through to end another lap and complete lap number 22 with still 5.5 seconds to go. 5.5 seconds, 5.5 minutes to go.
come through the S's at the far side of the circuit. Massive commitment corner. And now into the final complex. And Tyler Gonzalez is hanging it out. He's got a great looking car underneath him. He seems to be able to place it wherever he wants. And can Nate Cicero do anything about it? It was 2 and a bit seconds, 2.3 at the end of the last lap. It's 1.5 here, 144.1 against 144.5. That is so close to being a last lap dash. 4.5 to go as they cross the line. They're lapping in 1 minute and 3/4. It will depend when the leader gets to the line, Shea, Adam, as to whether I think Tyler Gonzalez is going to have to fight off Nate Cicero.
And they're going to have more lap traffic, possibly this lap too, so it's not over yet. It'll be interesting to see when they cross the start finish, if we do get an extra lap, as it were, and how that impacts things, because the rain is imminent, and that is playing a big factor. You have to remember that these drivers are in open cockpit cars. Yes, their helmets restrict the visibility, but you feel when the temperature drops. You feel those little things. You smell it, and it starts to play mind games with you. So do you go into turn 12 full commitment, or do you maybe back off a half a tenth early because you're fearful that your grip is going to be gone by the time you get there?
I think, as it stands, it might... I'm not going to call it. I'm going to wait for race control to call it. Has the rot been stopped at the front of the field by Tyler Gonzalez? I think it has. I don't think that Nate Cicero has closed in as much this time around. It was 3 or 4 tenths. It's going to be 2 more laps though. This is not the white flag lap they're going on to now. Cross the line for Tyler Gonzalez, a 144.1 for the leader and a 144.2 for Nate Cicero. That's the first time in 5 or 6 laps now that the lead has not been trimmed. It's 1.8 seconds, and that lap right there, the fastest lap of the race by the race leader, that might be enough. I think that is enough for Tyler Gonzalez to win the race.
Well, let's see, because they still have, 6 miles to go if we're going to give it to them at this point. But the battle is also on for the best finishing woman in this race, because Sally Mott in 14th has dropped down, and Heather Hadley has found the right foot pedal to be able to try and reel in her competitor. There's 3 tenths between the two of them for a check for $2,000. This is going to get exciting with probably 2 laps to go.
It's the 15 and the 34 JTR car and the Hendricks Motorsport, Sally Mott and Heather Hadley fighting for that 14th position and that $2,000 of cash. Leader coming through. I tell you what's going to be close to whether it is the white flag this time around. This is...
It will be.
Let me see. 149, 48, 47. Yeah, it will be. You're right. You're right.
I got the message from race control.
Cheat. That's cheating. There's me trying to work it out on logic and the timing. There is a slower car ahead of the leader now. So this is the last chance for Nate Cicero. He's got just over a lap to do it. They're coming onto the front straight now. Leader sliding. Nate Cicero's car looks a little better. The wipers have gone back on. The wipers have gone back on, so it's not over yet. And Nate Cicero takes back the fastest lap on what will be the penultimate lap. They have started the white flag lap. There's drops of rain in the air here at Barber for the 5th round of the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin. The Michelin wet weather tyres have turned into intermediates and then turned into dry weather tyres. And they have done it without losing any performance whatsoever. Incredible from these Michelin wets that were mandated at the start of the race. Here comes the leader down at the bottom of the hill at the hairpin. He's got through. That might be the move. That might be the move then, as he's put a car between himself and the second place. That's Gutierrez's Rafa Racing MMR team car that is in front of Nate Cicero. And I think that is going to be enough. The white flag was shown as they went across the start-finish line. They're halfway around the last lap now. And Tyler Gonzalez has he opened his lead? I think he might have. Just that last time around. Through to the S's again. Big slide by both the first and second place cars. Cicero's car does look really good. He's not having to slide it around so much, but it's going to be Tyler Gonzalez. Oh, have I called that too early? There's a slow car right in front of the leader in the last two corners of the race, and this is going to be very tight indeed as Nate Cicero is hoving into view, but it will be Tyler Gonzalez and BSI Racing who gets to the line and wins it, and the final gap is just a second. Fastest lap of the race to Nate Cicero with a 44.114. That will put him on pole position for tomorrow's race, and it will be a front row start for Tyler Gonzalez. We'll have Whelen Mazda, I think, on the second row of the grid. No, Skip Broxton a 44.6 and a 44.5. Yeah, those two rookies having a great scrap for 6th and 7th have put in really quick race times. So Gonzalez from Nate Cicero from Weston Workman, that's your top three. Justin Adeconis will take the rookie prize in 5th position, and just waiting to see who comes through. It's Sally Mott in 13th, who is the best of our female drivers ahead of Heather Hadley, who chased her home 10th of a second on the line there. Well, that's not even the length of a Mazda, so they must have been side by side across the line. The story for me there is Jared Thomas, Shea Adam, JTR Racing at 15th position and finishes, wait for it, 47 seconds off the leader. That
Surely not.
That does not happen. That was in a car, a race that had one safety car, and I didn't see him off the track, but my goodness me, when was the last time we were talking about that? Jeremy Fletcher did have 2 off-track incidents, but he was 15 seconds down in 4th. Incredible stuff. The whole grid is turned upside down because all of their fastest laps in that race will put them on their grid spots for tomorrow, by which time we will have done the arithmetic and tell you how the standings are for the Whelen Mazda MX-5 Cup presented by Michelin. It was a brilliant and fairly dominant race by Tyler Gonzalez. He'll tell us he had it under control all the way. He's joined on the podium by Nate Cicero and Weston Workman, with Jeremy Fletcher, Justin Adeconis, and Whelen Mazda, Skip Brock, Ethan Goulart, Ren Messenger and Skylar Cottrell in the top 10. Well done to that young man. Shea, who's leading the championship? You've got 15 seconds.
Jeremy Fletcher leads unofficially, 1380 points ahead of Jared Thomas, 1350. And then in third place is Tyler Gonzalez, 1230.
We're going to go and lie down in a darkened room now, thanks to Shea Adam and all of our technical staff, both at the circuit, at Concord and back up in London. I'm John Hindorf. We'll be back to do it again tomorrow. Join us then. Bye-bye.